the Canadian housing crisis. Whether we're lamenting the absurdity of the latest listings, comparing affordability elsewhere, debating who's to blame, or reminiscing about better bygone eras, its impact is inescapable. The crunch is felt most acutely in big cities. Vancouver, hemmed between ocean and mountain, ranks among the world's least affordable. On the surface, the problem seems straightforward. Economics 101, a simple supply and demand mismatch, isn't it? A booming populace juxtaposed with a housing supply that stagnated in the 80s. Can't we just build more? Unfortunately, housing does not just happen. Back in June 2022, the CMHC called for 5.8 million new homes by 2030 to restore affordability. That required more than doubling construction rates at the time. Yet housing starts have instead slipped by 10%. While Canada's population has grown at the highest rate in 65 years. Why the growing gap? Building housing is a much riskier and lengthier process than we might think. A typical new multifamily development can take 6 to 9 years from land purchase to delivery. First, suitable land must be found and secured. This can take years with many stakeholders and bureaucratic hurdles to navigate. Designs must then be developed, refined, and approved by the planning authority, another complex and often lengthy process to ensure local people, businesses, and government are on board. For banks to finance the project, housing companies must sell the majority of homes before construction can even begin. This means relying on pre-commitment from investors and forward-looking buyers years before any move-in-ready home exists. Construction itself can take several years. Building costs inevitably increase, and the risk is high for the housing company to make a return on their multi-year endeavor. Half a decade or more later, the keys are finally handed over. Let's hope the property still suits the buyer's lifestyle. Seem complicated? This actually represents a best-case scenario. In reality, an overwhelming number of factors can derail how quickly new homes are built. Municipal politics, escalating construction costs, land values, government fees, and availability of capital all affect the viability of new housing becoming available. The biggest complexity is often the ever-evolving landscape of policy and regulation. A constant stream of new building codes and energy standards have been introduced, along with increased requests for non-market housing to try and unlock more affordable and sustainable housing supply. Well-intended changes, but with added repercussions that can do more harm than good. Wait a minute, the government is asking housing companies to build more housing, more affordably and faster, and then constantly changing the rules? Let's shift gears for a second away from housing to put this into perspective. Imagine a car manufacturer develops a vehicle design and sends it to the assembly line for mass production. With every car identical, the manufacturer can optimize cost efficiency and streamline production. But if a regulating body were to intervene, altering the design and engineering requirements every few cars, efficiency would plummet. Production would lag and costs would escalate. This is akin to what we're seeing in Canadian housing. If that's not enough, add in the government fees and levies. In Canada, we tax new housing more than marijuana and gas exploration, and even gambling, to the extent that 30% of what a buyer pays for a new home today is often direct taxation. No wonder we're in a housing crisis. It's clear that government officials, housing providers, financial institutions, and the average Canadian all want to see attainable homes getting built, but we're going about it in the wrong way. So where do we go from here? We need to ensure we are working together, not against each other, to find pragmatic solutions. Halting the constant changes to policy and taxation might be a smart place to start. We need to incentivize rather than inhibit housing delivery. We are already seeing significant capital leave for other markets, and housing companies stop building in Canada altogether. We'll need many more houses just to stop the situation from worsening, and many more again to actually make things better. So get involved. Talk to your government officials about how we need to come together to deliver more housing. Solving this crisis means pushing for a future where everyone can access dignified housing in Vancouver and beyond. It means upholding Canada's diversity, livability, and economic stability. And we can all agree that is a future worth investing in.